Let us begin by reading the word problem out loud. Janelle is participating in an art contest. Her rectangular canvas has an area of 1,728 square inches. The length of her canvas is 36 inches. Find the width of her canvas. The first step in our strategy for problem solving is to analyze the problem, so let us go ahead and reread it and see what information we can extract from the given sentences. Now, the one thing that we always want to refer to is finding out what it is that we want to determine. So the question or the problem states that it wants us to find the width of our canvas. So that's what we want to find, that's what we want to determine. So once we know what it is we want to find, we can already go ahead and assign a variable. So let us go ahead and do so. So now in this problem, our variable, we'll go ahead and use the letter x, and x is going to represent the width of our canvas. So there we go, that's already step 2. Now let's see what other information we can extract. So we know she's participating in an art contest, and so she's going to be drawing on a rectangular canvas. So her rectangular canvas has an area of 1,728 square inches. So one of the key things there is that the fact that we're working with a rectangle, more precisely a rectangular canvas, and also area of 1,728 square inches. Now what else do we know? We also know the length of our canvas is 36 inches. So the key being there, length and 36 inches. Since we're working with the rectangular canvas, we know we're working with the shape of a rectangle. And not only that, but it gives us that the area is 1,728 square inches. So we want to associate the word area with rectangle. So we actually know a formula for the area of a rectangle, and that formula is area equals length times width. But more precisely, the area of a rectangle equals the length of a rectangle times the width of a rectangle. So now, let's go ahead and color code some of these things. We know that the area of a rectangle is represented by the color red, so we'll go ahead and color code that in red. We also know the length of a rectangle is color coded in blue, so we'll go ahead and change that to blue. And now we also know the width of the rectangle. Well, we don't actually know the value of the width of the rectangle, but we know that it is represented in the color green. So that's going to be the form of our equation. Now we're just going to go ahead and fill in what we already know. So now, let's go ahead and talk about the area of a rectangle. That's given to us, and the area is 1,728. We'll bring down the equal sign, and we'll also bring down the multiplication symbol. Now, the length of the rectangle, what is that? Well, we know that to be 36 inches. And we also know the width of the rectangle. Well, for that, we don't know the actual value, but we're going to use the variable x. So now on the right-hand side, we have 36 times x, and that's just the same thing as 36x. So when we solve our equation, we're going to bring this equation down. So it's 1,728, and that's equal to 36 times x, which is simply 36x. So now when solving the equation, what we want to do is we want to get the variable x completely by itself. Right now we have a 36 being multiplied by the x, so what we want to do is we want to eliminate the 36. And we're going to do so using the opposite operation. Since we're multiplying by 36, we're going to go ahead and divide by 36, since division is opposite operation of multiplication. So we'll start off with the equation that we have, which is 1,728 equals 36x. And then what we're going to do, we're going to divide both sides by 36. And therefore, we're going to have a 36 divided by 36. On the right hand side of the equation, 36 divided by 36 is going to be 1. So we're going to go ahead and just have 1x, which is simply written as x. And now on the left hand side, we're going to have to divide 1728 by 36. So we'll go ahead and do that off to the side as scratch work. So we're going to have 1728 on the inside. Since the divisor is 36, that's going to be on the outside. So now the question is, how many times does 36 go into 172? Now let's take a guess. My guess is 3. Let's see. 36 times 3. So it's going to be 3 times 6, which is going to be 18. So we'll bring down the 8, and we'll remember to add 1 later. So now we're going to do 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 1 gives us 108. 36 times 3 is 108. We want to see what's the biggest multiple of 36 that goes into 172. I think we could go a little bit bigger than that. So let's go ahead and try 36 times 4. So we'll do 4 times a 6. That's going to be a 24. We'll make a little note to add 2. So now we're going to do 4 times 3. That's going to be 12 plus 2 more. It's going to be 144. So my guess is that 36 goes into 172 4 times. Let's see. What if we were to try 5? So let's do 36 times 5. Let's see what that gives us. So we'll do 5 times 6. That gives us a 30. We'll bring down the 0, make a note to add 3. So now we're going to do 5 times 3. That's going to be 15. Plus the 3 up above, that's going to give us an 18. So 36 times 5 gives us 180, which is bigger than 172. So the largest multiple of 36 that goes into 172 is 144. And that came from multiplying 36 by 4. So we're going to go ahead and do 4. So now 4 times 36 is 144. We're going to go ahead and subtract that. So let's see. We're going to do a 2 minus a 4. We can't do that, so we have to borrow from the 7 next door. That becomes a 6, and now our 2 becomes a 12. So we're going to do 12 minus 4. It's going to give us an 8. And then we'll do 6 minus a 4. It's going to give us a 2. And then a 1 minus a 1. It's going to give us a 0. So we're just left with 28. Now the next step is to bring down the 8. So we're going to have 288. So now the question is, how many times does 36 go into 288? Well, one thing I want to mention is that notice that 288 is exactly half of 144. So if we double 144, we get 288. But notice, however, that we got 144 by multiplying 36 by 4. So if we're going to want to double that, instead of multiplying 36 by 4, we're going to have to go ahead and multiply 36 by 8, which is double 4. So let's see. Let's double check it to see if it actually makes sense. 36 times 8, that's my guess. Let's see if it's correct. So we'll do 8 times 6, that's going to be a 48. We'll bring down the 8. We'll make a note to add 4. Now we're going to do 8 times 3. That's 24. When you add the 4, you get 288. Boom. We got it. So now 36 goes into 288 8 times. And as we saw, when we multiply 36 by 8, we end up with 288 and a remainder of 0. So 172 divided by 36 is equal to 48. And there we go. So let's go ahead and see our conclusion clearly. So we were asked to find the width of our canvas. So again, our response or our conclusion is going to be the exact same as what we're asked to find, but in the form of a statement. So our conclusion is going to be that the width of her rectangular canvas is 48 inches. And there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and check our result. So again, when checking the result, you want to start off with the equation you found in step 3. So we're going to have 1,728 equals 36x, and that is a comma. And then let me go ahead and actually color code the 36x. I'm going to go ahead and make that in green because that's the color we were working with. However, now we know what x is equal to. We know x is equal to 48. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute that in. Everything else is going to remain exactly the same. So 1,728 is equal to 36. But now x is equal to 48. So now all we need to do is simplify the right hand side. So we just have to carry out that multiplication of 36 times 48. So we'll do that off to the side as scratch work. So we're going to have 48 times the 36. So here we go. We'll do 6 times 8, which is 48. So that's going to give us an 8. Bring that down low. Make a note to add 4. So now we're going to do 6 times 4. That's going to give us a 24. Plus a 4, that's going to give us a 288. So now we're going to do 3 times the 48. We're going to need a 0 for a placeholder. So then 3 times 8 is 24. So we'll bring down the 4 and make a note to add 2. So then we're going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. Plus 2 gives us a 14. So now we want to add these two together. 8 plus 0 gives us 8. 8 plus 4 gives us 12. We bring down the 2. We make a note to add a 1. So now we're going to have 2 plus 4, which is 6, plus additional 1 makes it 7. And we bring down the 1, and we end up with 1,728. So on the left, we have 1,728. And now on the right, we have 1,728. So the question is, are these two sides equal? They are indeed. Therefore, our solution is correct.